Hello everyone, my name is Athi, one of the hosts of the Honestly Fair podcast, and this is my own personal series, Storytelling and Beyond. In this personal series of mine, I would like to give you some quick hand methods, tips and tricks to creating memorable characters, creating unique worlds and cultures, both in your personal writing and maybe in your Dungeons and Dragons world building. And this goes out to DMs, players alike, when you're creating your player character. So, my general advice with looking at this series is to take what sticks and leave what doesn't. In this first episode, I would like to cover some character creation basics with a method I kind of patchwork together, which I call the blow-up method. Don't worry, it does not involve any kind of explosives, and no characters were harmed by using this method. In the blow-up method, we will be taking different character aspects or interesting ideas and expanding on them, thus blowing them up and creating what I like to call a personality core for your character, around which you can brainstorm and, expand certain ideas, so you may create an interesting, engaging, and memorable character. The only 3 ideas I would like to go over with you, which you can all use for creating a character. First one will be personality trait that you can expand upon. The second one will be a hobby for your character, which becomes the core of their personality. And the third one will be an animal. To illustrate these ideas, I will give you examples from my own characters and some reading I've done myself, mostly in the fantasy genre. So, let us begin. Firstly, let's take a personality trait that you like or maybe dislike and make it the entire personality of your character. I did this for my current D&D character, who you might see in the videos of our campaign on this same channel. Vanity. And very lazy move of me, I used his name for the personality trait which I chose. I made Vanity conventionally attractive, so he's not completely delusional when it comes to being self-obsessed, but I also gave it a little twist. Our DM suggested that he be a druid, and then I was like, what would a self-absorbed character and someone who's really in line with nature have in common? An appreciation for natural beauty. So I made Vanity a type of character who tries to see the best in everyone, and most of all, himself. And this character trait of his comes through very clearly, and is present in most of his interactions, and he considers that people who don't look conventionally attractive or don't have the means of taking care of themselves are still on a journey of self-discovery to become more aesthetically pleasing, and people who have already reached that level are people more worthy of trust. Thus, Vanity's entire morality is kind of based on aesthetic value and is basically kind of superficial and naive, and he has a hard time believing that a beautiful countess with sharp, shining fangs could be actually an evil, immortal vampire, because she's beautiful. How could she be evil? You see, by this method, taking a personality trait and kind of turning it on its head, you can create an interesting brainstorming opportunity. Let's take, for example, something that is objectively positive, generosity. What if this person that you are creating is so generous that they give away too much, and then they struggle with it, and then they go into a remission period when they don't want to give away anything, even if it would be sensible that they do. Perhaps she's a shapeshifter who is such a people pleaser and constantly trying to be generous and kind to people that she always turns into the person that the other one wants to see in her. And it has been so long since she has been her original form that she maybe completely forgot who she actually is. And maybe her main quest is uncovering who she wants to be for herself before wanting to be the right person to anyone around her. The second aspect that you can blow up about a character is their hobby. You can turn it into a very nice personality core if you incorporate it into their personality. One such book series, which I absolutely adore and uses this method, is T.J. Klune's Cerulean Chronicles series, which I have with me right here, both book 1 and 2. Kind of an annoyance to me that the first one is printed in a smaller size and the other one is almost double. But it happens a lot, actually, weirdly enough. These books revolve around magical children who live in a home for magical children. And besides them being wyverns, shapeshifters, dwarves, they each have their own unique personality through which the reader gets to know them better. One such character is Talia, who is a garden gnome who is absolutely obsessed with gardening. And most of her interactions in some way either benefit or revolve around her gardening skills. She's constantly looking for a new shovel to an almost concerning degree, and she wants to resolve all of her conflicts through perhaps burying someone under her rose bushes, to also get rid of her enemies and also to feed her roses. It could be a very simple way to relate to your own character if you take a hobby that you personally enjoy and you explode it, you blow it up, and you make it the character basis of your own character. By doing this, you can write about your character with ease because you'll probably have some knowledge about that area in which your character also has an expertise, but you can also create interesting ideas by turning them on their head. Let's say that you also choose gardening as a personality core, and then perhaps you can imagine that your character is patient and generous and kind because if she's nice to plants, she's also probably nice to people. But what if you're creating more of a sinister villainous character, and then your character is perhaps growing plants only to create some kind of strange potion out of them for a living? Or maybe she loves plants because they can't talk back to her, and she would rather prefer a green friend to a flesh and bone one. And lastly, the third aspect of a character that you can use as a personality base is using some kind of animal to create a character. Now this can be done in a literal way because Dungeons & Dragons provides a bunch of options for characters such as Harangans, Tabaxis, Dogfolk, Volpines, and the list goes on, and these can be used as literal animals. If you think about it from a historical perspective, fables about animals have always existed, and across many cultures, these certain types of animals have a specific significance. It's always the sly fox, the brutal wolf, the cunning snake, the wise elephant, and the loyal dog, to name just a few of these archetypes. These can absolutely be used as a character basis, as I said, both in a literal way, especially if you're creating a D&D character or something of an anthropomorphic type of character, or in a symbolic way, which I will go over from a reading experience. But firstly, for D&D. For my character, Serena Cogsworth, work in progress from a thrifted little bunny, she is a Harangan, jackalope type of tiefling girl, and I used the symbolism of the rabbit in creating her. Rabbits have been a symbol of both fertility and innocence in many works of fiction, and I kind of used and subverted this idea to make Serena kind of a morally grey character, as her Harlequin coloring will tell you. I also used the true phenomena of the Harlequin condition, where a rabbit basically has white and black coloring in equal amounts on its fur. To convey her kind of shifting and unpredictable nature, she's also a warlock, indebted to a very elusive entity in my world. So you can absolutely take a type of animal, look into its symbolism, or maybe their personal meaning to you specifically, and either use it, motamo, in your own story, or subvert expectations and create something unique and unseen before. If you don't want to write an anthropomorphic animal creature in a literal sense, you can also make subtle references to your human character having animal traits. And for this example, I will be bringing up Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere, in which story the main character, Dor, is running away from two assassins, Mr. Croup and Mr. Vendemar. Both of them are based on different animals, one of them a wolf and the other a fox. Mr. Vendemar, in his opening scene when he first shows up, is showed as a hulking, dark figure with black hair, ragged, beaten-up knuckles, and crow's skulls as rings on his finger. He has a terrifying atmosphere, especially when he is brutally pursuing our main character, closely followed by Croup, who is kind of the conniving mastermind behind their plans. While Mr. Vandemar represents a traditional sense of strength and is very physically intimidating, Mr. Kroop has more of a slimy, unsettling atmosphere, and you know that he's always 2 steps ahead of you. He's described as having a receding hairline, a very pointed nose, and crooked teeth, which kind of gives a more sinister, foxy vibe, and the author isn't ashamed to wear these resemblances on the character's sleeve. Here as well, I advise you to think about different animals, their representations, subvert them or take them literary, and follow my advice of take it if it sticks, and reinvent it, change it, or scrap it if it doesn't. As we're nearing the end of the video, let's recap what you can use the blow-up method on. Personality traits. First, take it. Make it the character's entire personality, take it to an extreme, or subvert expectations to create memorable and flavorful characters. Secondly, hobbies. Following the rule of write what you know, base your character around the hobby that you like, and make it a core aspect of their personality. Every action they take, everything they buy, and most of their thoughts should revolve around this activity. And lastly, but certainly not least, use an animal, either in a symbolic way or a literal way using D&D species. Don't forget, using this method in character creation should be a fun and engaging part of the process. Use it as you see fit to create a memorable character, and feel free to reinvent even the method itself, applying it to different aspects of a character, perhaps even to their backstory, to just get some ideas down and avoid the blank canvas phenomena. I hope you have enjoyed this first installment of Storytelling and Beyond, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Goodbye!